Welcome back to another Unbiased Magic review. And before we get started, I just want to mention that I must be doing something right here because I've already gotten some negative feedback from some people that have watched some of my reviews, which means obviously I must be hitting close to the mark because some people are already getting upset with what I'm saying. The truth of the matter is that I'm not here to make friends with anybody, and I'm not here to please anybody. Like I had said when I started, was that I'm putting out my own honest reviews of these products, and that's all I'm intending to do. And I'm sorry if a lot of what I'm saying offends you, and I'm sure that this review especially is going to be very offensive to some people because I've got a lot of negative things to say about this effect. Today we are going to be reviewing Rick Lax's Money Comes and Goes. Currently, you can pick this up for $10 off of Penguin Magic, and I'm going to review this, give you all of my thoughts and whatnot. And what's interesting is that on the Penguin, if you go to Penguin, you'll see that this has only gotten rave positive reviews. So maybe I'm the only negative voice out there. Who knows? Let's take a look at the trailer first so you can see what this is.
You take out 8 bills from an envelope. Some of them say win on the back, some of them say lose. So you turn them over, mix them around, and then the spectator decides which bills they want and which bills they want you to have. They're really making the decisions. But in the end, they wind up with all the losers and you've got all the winners. Let's see the one you're hanging on to. Loser! Let's see, we got a ways to go. Let me look at the next one you gave me. Come on,
loser.
Next
up.
Not
looking good. Come on, you're a loser.
Next up. No. This trick is fun to do and easy to perform. Everything you need fits inside of an envelope. And you can do it with 1s and 100s like me, or you can use 5s and 20s, whatever currency and denominations you want. The more people try to resist your psychological influence, the more susceptible they will be. And the harder they try to figure this trick out, the more fooled they will be. And now it's your turn to make a decision. Do you want to learn the trick or not?
So as you can see, this is a type of bank night effect. There's a lot of things I could tell you that I'm going to go over the things that are positive and negative about it. But before I even start, let's just talk about the elephant in the room, which is that the effect was directly lifted from a John Bannon routine. Now, I'm not going to mention the John Bannon routine because that would be exposing magic. But what I will tell you is this, is that you can find the routine in one of John Bannon's earlier books that he published. And so it's actually in a couple of different places, but you could definitely find it in one of his older books. So if you have any, if you're like a fan of John Bannon's material, you probably have the book that this effect comes from. And here's the funny part, is that the effect is move for move almost the same effect, almost the same exact routine. Even the kicker ending has the same kicker ending too, which is interesting because the trailer is very misleading, because in the trailer they don't even mention that there's a kicker prediction ending, and there is. So, and I guess that's kind of optional is what they're trying to tell you. I'll tell you this, that you have to ask yourself, is it correct to take somebody else's routine and just because you apply it to a totally different object, but you're doing the exact same moves in the exact same order, and it's the same exact outline, is that correct? I mean, he took a John Bannon routine that is done with cards, and all he did was he substituted dollar bills. And by doing that, I mean, obviously it makes the effect maybe more commercial, more practical, because you just take out the dollar bills and it looks more interesting. It's not cards, it's dollar bills, so that looks a little bit more interesting. I mean, so you have to ask yourself, does that warrant a whole new effect being put out there? I mean, does that warrant $10 to Penguin Magic because you're taking somebody else's material and then you're just basically just changing one little aspect of it and then trying to market it? You know, that's exactly like me taking this effect, and if I just apply it to poker chips, I'll just rename it something different, and we'll just and I'll just throw it out there with a different name. And then is that okay too? Then, you know, you have to ask yourself that. In the actual So I didn't exactly recognize it until I saw the real total performance. When I saw the total performance, I recognized that I had seen this before somewhere. And obviously, as soon as the name, because in the credits, when he goes over the credits, which is the very end of the video, he spends about 10 seconds telling you, oh, well, this was inspired by, and he, or whatever. He mentions that, a few sources of material that kind of inspired the effect. And in there, he throws John Bannon's name out. And the interesting part is that he doesn't name the routine, because if he did and you looked it up, you would see that it's exactly the same routine, move for move, literally. The funny part is that because Bannon uses cards, there's a part of the routine where there's a discrepancy in the Rick Lax version that you don't get with the John Bannon version because of the playing cards, because you don't have playing card values. Then you have to do, and I'm going to use the word, you have to use equivocate in one part there. So it's interesting that doesn't tell you that, but yeah, there is a small part there where you have to use equivocate, and that's because Rick Lax couldn't get around that aspect of the routine because he was using bills. So taking that aside, if you can overlook all of that stuff, then there's some other things I have to tell you about the routine. So first things first is the routine workable? It is, obviously. It is. You can use it. It's not really a great bank night routine. I'm going to tell you right now that if you want a really good bank night routine that's much better than this, I would recommend John Kerry's Bank Wave. Much better routine. In fact, John Kerry's Bank Wave, I think what people have complained about the most was that it used envelopes and that you had to put the bills inside envelopes. Here's the interesting thing is that, after seeing this, after seeing this routine, I could, in my own mind, I could see how I could take Rick Lax's idea of using bills and with the writing on the other side and apply that to the John Kerry routine and get rid of the envelopes. So, I mean, really, and especially because the part of the equivocate that Rick Lax teaches is horrible. In fact, John Kerry's routine that also uses equivocate at one point has a much more elegant solution. So I would recommend that 100 times over. So if you're going to spend $10, the $10 towards the John Kerry routine is much better than this one. So let's go over a couple of other things here. So here are the things I don't like about the routine that you should think about before you get this. So here's the first thing. Number one is that the bills are not mixed up in the open. There's no like shuffling procedure or mixing procedure. So obviously your spectators are just going to assume that there's some kind of setup involved, which that's never a good thing, because when they walk away from this, in their mind, they're going to just justify what happened was that it was all set up from the beginning. There was no sense of real chance. There was no sense of, well, there was, some element of luck involved. No, there wasn't, because you never mixed the bills up. So you never even openly mix them up in your own hands. So that's the first thing. There's the first negative right there. That makes the effect, in my mind, that nixes the effect right there, because then your spectator is going to walk away saying, oh yeah, that was set up from the get-go. I never had a real free choice. It's never going to seem like it was legit. So that's the first thing. And then there's a couple of other small discrepancies in there, which I also thought was really horrible. There's this other discrepancy where you have to get one of a certain bill, otherwise the prediction won't come true. And so that's another horrible, because you have to tell the spectator, if things aren't going the way they should, then you have to actually say, well, I need to get one of those. And that's, in my mind, that right there, that nixes the effect again. Another bad element there. That's just terrible. So that, again, another negative there. And then the equivocate, that they don't even tell you that you have to use equivocate in the routine. Some false advertising there, because they didn't even mention that. Because if you look at the actual advertising, it says that there's no sleight of hand. So I guess they meant, I guess they don't count sleight of mouth as sleight of hand. So there you go, right? Because there's some sleight of mouth you have to do there. They don't tell you that though. They don't tell you that in the information. So anyway, again, definitely not great. So overall, though, I will tell you that those are the big things about this routine that I really did not like a lot. The prediction part at the end, I don't think it really adds much to the effect, to be honest with you. I mean, he made a big deal out of it. Again, taken directly from John Bannon's routine, directly. John Bannon's routine, I'm going to tell you right now, it's so much better than this. So, if you were going to use the same ideas, I mean, if you want to do a bank night effect, I'm going to recommend more John Kerry's bank wave over this. Just definitely. This is terrible. And so I feel that, Rick Lax is just reaching here. I mean, he just got the bright idea, probably was, he saw John Bannon's routine, and in his mind he just thought, well, what if I do that with dollar bills? And then, oh yeah, that'd be so much better, if I did that with bills instead. And then, well, let's just market that effect. Yeah, let's just throw that out there and let's just, let's make some money, It's just not good. So honestly, again, I would say that that's an idea you tell your magic buddy at the club. You'd be like, I read this effect, but you know what, I had this idea of doing it with bills instead of with the cards, Not something that you would put your name on and you would produce and put out there and sell to people in the magic community. I just don't think that's right. And I think that, even if he did get Bannon's blessing before he put this out, it's weak. It really is. It's very poor, especially when you're supposed to be a creator of original magic effects, at the very least, put his name on the product. You should at least put his name on the product. In fact, maybe you should put his name before yours. So I'm sure a lot of people are not going to like this review and they're going to get very upset. But I'm going to tell you right now, I don't think it's worth the $10. To be honest with you, I would, like I said earlier, I'd recommend the John Kerry effect instead. Other than that, the other things I'll tell you is that, how hard is it to actually perform the effect? It's very simple. It's an easy effect. It's very portable. Obviously, for lay people, they probably wouldn't notice a lot of the things I'm pointing out. Although the one thing I really didn't like was that there is no mixing procedure of the bills. And so to me, that screams set up, that something is set up before you even start. It's just not good. It's not a good thing. I think it's better when you can let other people take a look at it and you can mix it up in your hands and then start. So it really looks like it's really chance and there really is free choice involved. Otherwise, it really doesn't look that way. So anyway, those are my honest thoughts of this. And again, like I always tell you guys, I get this stuff so that way you don't have to waste your money on it. And this review is unbiased, totally. And I'm telling you that I feel that this is not a great product to get. I would not recommend it. And I'm sorry if I've offended some people with this, but truth be told, I can't help it because it's the truth, and this is just how it is, and I think that if this helps somebody else and they say, you know what, that definitely sounds like something I don't really want to get, I don't want to waste my money on, well, then I have done somebody a service. So I don't mind any negative or positive comments. You can leave whatever you want. You're not going to hurt my feelings. This is unfortunately it is what it is, and this is an honest review, and I'm telling you what it is. I'm not saying that Rick Lax is a bad creator because he has put out some good stuff in the past, but this is not one of those things. In fact, and this isn't his either. This is John Bannon's effect, okay? So let's just get that straight. So I hope that he goes back and puts his name on the product because it's John Bannon's effect. It's not his. All right, I've said my piece, and I hope that somebody found this useful.